I have a lot of books about fairy tales and folklore. Academic books, novelizations. I have books from a bunch of different languages. German, Italian, Spanish, Hawaiian, even French, and some other collections. And those are just the paper ones, not to mention all of the academic and otherwise books I've checked out from libraries. I find folklore fascinating, and the Grimm brothers had the best job in my opinion. Linguist and folklorist? Today I'm going to review Philip Pullman's Fairy Tales from the Brothers Grimm. It's not really like other fairy tale collections, it's 400 pages of just stories. And there's a bit of commentary after each story about historical context or the original storyteller or things Pullman could have done to change the story. There's a pretty long introduction where Pullman talks about the different views on fairy tales, from psychological to literary to anthropological, and he cites all of the famous folklore scholars that everybody cites, but he's coming to these stories as an author. And he wants them to be good stories with like a beginning, middle, and an end, and like a logical progression. I mean, as logical as fairy tales can ever be. But fairy tales aren't always so coherent. There's more going on here than just entertainment, and writing down these stories preserved the words, but not really the original meaning or context. So sometimes there are like missing parts and little threads that don't quite meet today's literary standards or expectations of complexity in characters. So Pullman takes some liberties with the original Grimm's versions and weaves together the loose threads into a more coherent story. It's like someone's telling you a bedtime story. I started out reading 3 stories a night, which would have lasted me the month, but by the end I was just reading till I fell asleep. Pullman is excellent at storycraft. These aren't modern versions, but more like English translations, and his English is clear and timeless. I did find some of his commentary fairly dubious, but I can see this book being read to children at bedtime and then being read by the parents long after the kids have gone to sleep. Which is probably the highest praise that can be given to a book of fairy tales, that it delights and fascinates the old as well as the young, as the oral versions did for millennia.